Hey there, name's Brandon. I wanted to make a video today about how to take a OEM Nintendo shell and install a funny playing ITA kit into it. These are the bottom screen out of a Nintendo DSi. They tend to not look quite as good as IPS, but slightly. However, they are very easy to put in OEM shells, and they're definitely the closest thing to the 101 screen that you can buy today. It's like a new manufactured part, and the end result tends to look pretty gosh darn good. Yeah, so let's talk about how to make one of these. So first, we're going to get all of the screws. Or actually, before we do that, let's go over parts list, right? So you'll need the donor Game Boy, you'll need your ITA kit. I recommend a glass screen. Today we're going to use the 2.5D beveled edge. They need to be the original screen size. The IPS run a little bit bigger, and it'll work, but you'll see a little black border around the screen, so it's not super ideal. You'll need flush cutters, and you're going to need a file set as well, because after you make your cuts, you're going to want to sand down your stuff so it's nice and smooth. If you don't do that, you'll get kind of what I would describe as weirdness with the screen output. Like when you look at blacks, you might see like a little bit of white washout or something. It's no bueno. And I get these Game Boys from a website called Buy. It's a buy with two E's at the end. They're what's called a proxy service. So they'll put in bids for you and then ship it to your door. And they do a good job with the packaging. Like they're not the cheapest, but generally pretty happy. And you can pick these up for somewhere around $60 for the orange spice. Those tend to be more desirable models, and they run a bit more. But buying from Japan is wonderful. They mark stuff as junk. That's perfectly fine, right? So you got your rear shell off. Probably should have done that beforehand. Sorry. And then we just got 3 more screws here. And then I can show you where the trimming is going to start. And this will be a multi-part video as well. I'll break it up. We'll go over how to recap the thing, how to open the power switch and clean it. Just in general, how to refurbish one of these bad boys. Because they are wonderful little systems. I've been modding for a couple years now. And if I had to get one, if I had to just get one Game Boy, it would be this style, original form factor. So this is a later model. I used 2 motherboard screws. You might encounter a third one right there. It doesn't really matter. It's just a little bit of cost cutting. Alright, and then let's gently lift out the motherboard after having unhinged the screen there, and that pops out. Get your membranes out. We're going to take a big old bubble bath to all the membranes and buttons. All this stuff has got to come out. And we'll remove the screen as well. And then I'll show you exactly where you need to trim. And then I'm going to go do it, and we'll cut back to the finished product. That being the trim. The trick to remove the screen easily is what's called the ice tray trick. You just kind of flex it back and forth like this, and you see how that corner popped up? Go ahead and grab that. Okay, and then we can pry it out. If you can, get the original screen gasket out in the same pull. Oh, it's a little messy. That's okay. Okay, and try to preserve this original screen gasket. This is a super nice gasket. It comes off if you use the funny playing one, it's fine. It'll do the job, but there's a good chance you'll damage the screen if you ever need to take it off. Let's say you make an error, or down the line dust somehow gets into it. Dust shouldn't get into it, but just in case it does. It's really nice to be able to remove this gasket. So I like to preserve it. I'm just kind of sticking it back on the screen, so I'll use it later. All right. And then from there, you can just push out the lens. 2 thumbs, even pressure. Comes out. All right. And then stick the lens somewhere as a trophy. Okay. So now let's talk about what exactly we need to trim. The ITA is going to sit all the way at the top. It'll take up both ends pretty well on its own. And don't stress too much about aligning it. The kit has like software level adjustment, so you can play around with the screen. But basically, we need to cut out all this. We need to remove this post right here. Okay, and all this crap sticking out right here. This all has to go. This whole big thing over here, all the way over to the start select. All that's got to go. Okay, we're not done yet. I recommend notching this corner right here. The screen tends to run into this corner right here, so I like to notch it a little bit. It gives the screen somewhere to rest, and then it doesn't push against the screen. You really want to avoid any kind of situation where pressure is being applied to the screen, right? You want it to sit totally flat and not have any kind of pressure point. So now we're not quite done. We want to remove these inner little posts, these little things sticking up right here that kind of held the screen in place. Okay. And then also when you remove this area, there's like a big bump right there. Excuse me. We want to sand that down as well. Okay, so room for the speaker. This bottom little post right here. All this stuff. I recommend notching that little thing. You're not gonna dig all the way into the power switch. You're just gonna take the edge off that corner, and then all the way through here. All right, so I'll go ahead and do a first pass, and then when I get to like the point where I'm gonna be using my file, I'll go ahead and cut to the finished product. But basically, you just kind of get in there. Make sure you have nice thin flush cutters. I'll give you a little more precision. I like to start at the ends, and then for a bigger piece of plastic like this, you can just kind of wiggle it, and it should break off pretty cleanly. All right, and then mine the flat end, and cut in reasonable chunks. Just want to be nice and careful there. And then same story, gentle wiggles. You'll see the plastic flex a little bit. That's okay. As long as you made good cuts, it'll cooperate. Let's see. We'll take off right there. And I'll kind of go to the corners here and make little snips. Hope that's clear. So I'm snipping the corners here, here, and here. And then like periodically in the straight line, I'll break it up. And again, that's so I can just do my little wiggle thing and try to break it off, because you don't want to spend all day doing this, right? You can grind and grind and grind and grind, but it's a lot easier if you just break off what you can. Don't be afraid to move around a little bit. Sometimes the surrounding posts need peer pressure. There we go. Pretty clean. All right. We'll keep going down the line here. And then the inner post I'll show you, it's kind of a pain in the ass. You can't really do that. So I try to shave it. I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. But this is really not too intrusive as far as shaving goes. You can pop the original screen back in. It'll work just fine. The jiggling noise you hear is my kitten. His name is Enzo. He just turned a year, and he wants to get into everything that I do. All right, so just kind of working it down here. Yeah, nice. Stay out of that, kitten. Enzo, hey, hey, stop, stop, no, no. His thing is chewing plastic. Stop, 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 stop. His thing is chewing plastic, so he likes to get into the bubble wrap and chew it up. He knows that I'm busy, so, you know, he just wants to remind the world he exists. I put him on camera, but well, I'd have to stop the video. I'm pretty sure I put a video of him on my YouTube somewhere. You can go find it. Let's stay focused. Let's not cave to the ADD. This little nubbin I'm just gonna take off. That was kind of dirty. See? So that's what it looks like if you try to trim it. I'm gonna have to go in and correct that a bit. It's okay though. Yeah. So again, the goal is to make it as flat as possible. So any kind of work you can take out of the equation. Now we're going to get this corner right here. I'm going to show you what I meant. I'm just going to snip off that edge. Just like that. That's all you need. Okay. Now the most difficult part is taking off this little inner lip. And that's just because there's not a lot of meat on the bone here. So this is what I do. I kind of rig up one end to act as like the shaver, and it may take you a couple tries, but you can get into it right there. Ah, dang it. That's not what I wanted. All right, we'll try again. I suppose if you had like a grind wheel or something, you might be able to make this a little bit easier. But basically, you're just going to get in there. See what I'm doing here? Just starting to shave it. Hopefully the camera's got a good angle, but there you go. Kind of get it to come off like one piece. Like you're peeling an orange slice. Oh, I lost my shave. It's okay. You can always get in there with the file. It's just a pain in the butt, this part. Actually, I wouldn't go at this with my Dremel. I'm pretty sure I meant to say Dremel and I said something else earlier, but I wouldn't. This is relatively thin, and when you run the Dremel, you always kind of run the risk. Kitten, get out of here. You always run the risk of poking through the plastic, right? Is good fingertip strength exercise. Okay, that was actually pretty good little pull there. You see, I got some work to do. I'm just gonna hit this with the grinder. It's a pain in the butt. But there's just enough that you need to shave off, but not enough that you can get a real nice grip on it. And the less jagged you can make it, the easier time you're going to have grinding it down. All right, cool. So now at this point, oh, I'm off the camera, sorry. So now at this point, I'm going to come in with my flat edge grinder. This is a nail file. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to sand this all down until it's completely flat. Okay, it's kind of a pain. But yeah, it's worth it. So I'll cut back to when that's done and show you what the finished product looks like.